Hello, it's Ren Presents time. I'm your host, Ren, and today we continue with the Belmont Saga. Part 2, Chapter 24, A Stain on His Soul. So last week, Paymaster Stenstrom, which he actually is now a Paymaster, boards his first fleet charge, the rusting, stinky, dilapidated frigate known as the Sandwich. And he's not too thrilled. He's like, what the hell have I got myself into? I don't even know if I want to be on this ship. But he meets the crewman who is assigned to aid him, crewman Callie, and says, okay, she seems nice enough. What the heck? Let's do this. He meets the captain, Lieutenant Dunkster from Planetfall, and as he settles into his job, and it's not that difficult of a job, he quickly realizes that there's something fishy going on, that shenanigans are afoot, that there seems to be more money exiting the ship than coming in. And you see that these crew people on the Sandwich make pittance. They're not very well paid. But for some reason, they're supplementing their purse with something. And he tells Callie, hey, I know something's going on. I'm going to speak to Dunks, Lieutenant Dunkster, the captain, and see what the hell is going on. And she's like, well, you can't do that. And he's like, why not? He says, well, I'll get in trouble. And then she tries to seduce him. And that's part of her job, is to give sex to Paymaster Stenstrom to keep him from snooping about. And he's like, well, why? And she says, well, I don't want to say, but, you know, we do have a little side operation going. But I can assure you, it's nothing harmful. Nobody is getting hurt by this at all. And you have my word. And he trusts her and he believes her. And he says, okay. But then, as he starts unpacking his arcane books and instrumentality, he sees a foreboding figure in the mirror, and he realizes that whatever creatures his mother has sent out after him are not finished, and they are still even floating in space after him. So let's proceed immediately. Part 2, Chapter 24, A Stain on His Soul. So let's explore these shenanigans in further detail and see what's up. Every 3 days, towards 18 bells, there'd be a knock at his door, and Callie came in. They had become very good friends. Sometimes they'd watch the internet, other times she'd bring a game or two. Sometimes they'd just sit and talk. Callie going on and on for hours about her life, her dreams, whatever came into her head. He didn't mind. He liked listening to her stories. Eventually, Stenstrom's inhibitions fell to the point where they started having sex, Callie being remarkably casual with it. She was also completely uninhibited, willing to do or try anything. He lay there one night, Callie wrapped around him. He began to wonder what was going on that he wasn't supposed to see, and his curiosity got the better of him. He took a pink holy stone and put it in Callie's hand. She was already asleep, but the pinky would ensure she stayed out. He rose from bed, dressed, and prepared to creep out. He looked back, and there was Callie, quiet and peaceful. He came back and gave her a quick kiss on the forehead, and then snuck out. Using his training, he was remarkably stealthy. He could silently slip from shadow to shadow, blending in with the dark. Several people passed by as he roamed about, not one realizing he was there. He wasn't sure what he was looking for. Given what Callie had said, he assumed there was some sort of improper or possibly illegal enterprise in progress on the Sandwich. For decency's sake, he could only hope it wasn't something too outrageous, though she had promised him it wasn't harmful. Moving silently, He eventually made his way to the hold. He had to be careful, as he could hear quite a few people talking within. When he thought the moment was right, he drifted in. Inside the hold, he saw Dunks, the bosun, Pike, and several other people tending a huge vat in the center of the hold. There was a heavy smell of chemicals and various herbs floating on the air, and he saw a large apothecary full of all sorts of ingredients and shelved glass bottles and jars against the far wall. Normally, there was nothing there but a blank wall in that area. It looked like they were brewing some sort of potion. He silently made his way into the hold and crept up on the pot Dunks was stirring. Within was a clear, bubbling liquid that reeked of chemicals. "Keep a stirring," the bosun said. "It has to be just right." Dunks agreed. "No worries, Pops. This is gonna be one fine batch of suntan lotion. Now, everybody out, because here's where I use my secret technique to polish it up. Come on, out!" People set their things down and exited the hold. The bosun Pike lingered. "I think I'll be hanging about. You promised to give me your procedure, and I've waited long enough. I want it." "You'll get it when I'm good and ready to give it to you, Pops. Not a moment sooner," Dunk snapped. "Now, get out!" The bosun turned in a huff and nearly plowed into Stenstrom. Alone in the hold, Dunks donned a breather mask and began adding components into the vat. The fumes that poured out were enough to incapacitate Stenstrom. Clinging to the shadows, he staggered out into the corridor, the fumes soon mixing with all the other bad smells on the ship. That was a near thing, for the mixture was foul and nearly had him on the floor. He worked his way out of the hold, unnoticed, and back to his quarters. He undressed and climbed back into bed. Callie, with the pinky in her hand, hadn't even moved. 2 days later, Stenstrom, still puzzled over what he'd seen in the hold. What exactly were they up to? He wasn't naive enough to believe that they were actually making suntan lotion, as Dunks called it. Perhaps it was some sort of tincture, spirit, or snake oil remedy, though it smelled terrible, whatever it was. Feeling himself a little flushed, he went to the basin to splash water on his face, and he looked into the mirror. Behind his reflection was a demonic landscape. Strange objects festered under old cobwebs. As he stared at the mirror, he saw 4 indistinct figures sitting in the distance. He heard a dour voice. "Lone Rider, the star that does not fall. It man, you belong to us." Hands reached for him, and he felt a ripping in his chest, a sundering of soul from flesh. His soul was being attacked. For the love of creation, what had Mother set against him this time? Wheezing, holding his chest, he staggered out of his cabin and blundered into the corridor, where he fell to the metal floor. A moment later, Callie came by. "Belle!" she squeaked, seeing him lying there. She knelt down and tried to pull him up. "Belle? Belle, what's wrong?" He struggled to catch his breath. "Callie, I'm in trouble." She looked down at him. She seemed wholeheartedly disappointed. "You know, Belle, I've really come to look up to you. We were going at it, having sex the other day, and I thought, I respect the heck out of this guy. And then I had a monster orgasm. I really thought you might be a different sort. Callie, please. I mean, I'm not one to talk. I had my fill yesterday, creation knows. But you, I don't know. I had you up there. I thought you were above this sort of thing, Callie, I'm dying." She put her hands on her hips. "You filthy drunk right now, Belle? Help me." "You bawled out? Cooped up?" He wheezed for breath. "It's nothing like that." She leaned down and sniffed him. "Well, I don't smell any booze. I do smell some BO. No, wait. That's me. And your pupils aren't dilated, so you're not cooped up either or nothing. It's my soul. It's sorcery. I'm under attack. She finally seemed convinced. Sorcery? Really? Oh, that's so cool. I'm so happy you're not strung out or dead drunk. What can I do? Stenstrom struggled to stay conscious. Need salts, chemicals, and a bit of tin or antimony. Well, where am I going to get that stuff? Cargo hold. I saw a hidden apothecary should have what I need. How do you know about that? She demanded. I saw it. Callie thought about it for a moment, then slung his arm around her shoulder and helped him down the hold, stumbling often. They passed several people on their way. They saw Stenstrom apparently in a bad shape, and they laughed and shook their heads. Would you look at that? Paymaster Stenstrom, all cooped up. Guess we're rubbing off on his lordship. They got to the hold a few minutes later. Callie set him down against the wall. Now, you think this is just an apothecary, right? She asked. Nothing more? Stenstrom felt his soul rip. He held his chest in agony. I don't care what it is, Callie. Help me! She stood and went to the far wall. She pressed a hidden lever, and a portion of the wall spun about, revealing a vast cabinetry of shelves and drawers, brimming with lined-up jars, beakers, and bottles. Okay, she said. What do I need? Natron. What's that? Soda ash. Callie looked around the shelves and browsed through the bottles, clinking them together. Soda ash. Ah! Here's some. She pulled out a clear glass vial of bluish salt. What else? Bismuth. She looked around. Okay, bismuth, this silvery metal here. She showed him a clear glass vial with 2 bits of metal sliding about inside. Now, foxglove. What's that? It's a purple flower, hooded, bell-shaped. She looked around. Well, I don't think we're going to have that. Wait. Well, what do you know? Foxglove. Wow. Dunks has this thing stocked, doesn't he? She pulled an earthen jar out of the shelving and removed a stalk of dried, purple, hood-like flowers. Now I need either tin or antimony. She looked around. Well, ha! We have both. Then antimony, it's better. What else? Get a pot. Start a small fire. Callie rummaged about and found a rough iron pot. She turned on a gas burner and put the pot on it. No, Callie, I need fire, not a gas flame. She spun around. Well, where am I going to make a fire, Belle? She went to a stainless steel basin in the corner. Here, I'll make one here. She grabbed bits of paper and board and tossed them into the basin. She tried lighting bits of papers on the nearby gas burner and tossing them in, but she couldn't sustain a flame in the basement. Belle, you got a lighter or something? Callie, take this and be careful. He produced a red holy stone. She ran toward him and took it. Throw it into the basin and step away. Callie threw the holy stone into the basement, and a hot yellow fire erupted, licking up the sides of the metal wall. It subsided after a few moments, and she put the iron pot into the basin, careful not to burn herself. Now, carefully put the natron into the fire. Be careful, it's going to jump up again. Callie unstoppered the natron and tossed it into the flames. The fire turned cobalt blue and leapt up. Wow. Oh, okay. What's next? She asked. Put the rest of the ingredients in the pot and crush them. Don't stir. Crush. Them was something. She threw all the ingredients in and, finding a large wrench, began crushing the ingredients. She sweated with the heat of the fire. Okay. Everything's starting to melt together. It smells kind of good. Help me over there, Callie, please. She put the wrench down and helped him up. She then led him to the basin. Now, find a cloth, a handkerchief, or something similar, a rag maybe. She propped him up against the basin and went to find a cloth. Stenstrom readied himself and then reached into the pot and seized the contents in his fist. Callie returned with a length of coarse linen. "What are you doing?" she asked, looking at his hand. "You'll burn yourself." "That's the price for saving my soul," he said as the metals burned his palm. He opened his hand. There were 3 small ingots of antimony mixed with the bismuth and foxglove, rapidly cooling, though still hot in his blistered hand. "Lay the cloth out, please." Callie cleared a spot and laid the linen out. Stenstrom then arranged it into a band with 2 triangular flaps coming down. He then rolled the 3 irregular ingots into the cloth and put the whole thing around his head. The flaps came down over his eyes. Sighing with relief, he tied the back. "You okay?" Callie asked. "I am now. Thanks, Callie. I really owe you." He put his arm around her and gave her a kiss on the cheek. She gave him a large hug in return. "It's okay. I'm glad I could help. That was pretty neat, actually. What did we just do, by the way?" "We made a set of hermelins. They are sort of magical rocks that protect your soul." "Why don't you push the cloth back so you can see?" "It has to go over my eyes. That's the way the spirits won't be able to find me as easily. Eyes are the route to the soul. Obscure them a little and they'll have a harder time of it." Callie found a knife and they cut small holes into the cloth. "Oh," she said, "what sort of spirits is after you?" "The worst kind. My mother summoned it." And with that, we conclude Part 2, Chapter 24, A Stain on His Soul. So Stenstrom, his curiosity getting the better of him, sets out while Callie was incapacitated in the sack and sees the captain of the ship, Lieutenant Dunkster, and the bosun Pike, and a few other people tending to a large vat in the hold, and it stinks. It's like he thinks they're making, like, brewing a potion or something, and the Dunks calls it the suntan lotion. Obviously it's not suntan lotion, and we'll find out later what exactly it is he's brewing. But the bosun seems to be pretty intent on getting whatever secrets Lieutenant Dunkster has in brewing this potion. He's like, "Well, I'll give it to you when I'm goddamn good and ready. Now get out!" Throws everyone out of the hold. He mixes in some secret ingredients, and it smelled so bad that it almost knocked Stenstrom out. Then a few days later, demons come for his soul, and he can feel them ripping him out of his chest, and he's on the point of death. And Callie comes by, and Callie's a little disappointed because she thought he was laying there either drunk, balled out, or cooped up. And balled out and cooped up means if you've been taking Remax or Mags. I mentioned those, these illegal drugs that float around in the league. And if you're balled out, you've taken one, or if you're cooped up, you've taken the other. That's just what it's called. Basically, you're high. And she was all disappointed, thinking, I put you on a pedestal. I didn't think you did these sorts of things. But he convinces her he's not drunk, balled out, or cooped up. He's in fact having his soul ripped from his body. And she thinks that's actually pretty cool. She helps him to the hold, where he saw a hidden apothecary stocked full of arcane components. And she has him make him some hermelins, like these magical bits of metal that he puts in a roll of cloth and then puts it around his head. And that is the genesis of Paymaster Stenstrom's mask, the one he was wearing at the beginning of the book. Inside the mask are these bits of metal that he uses to protect his soul from demons, as ostensibly his mother sent after him, though that kind of a git thing to do for a mother to do to her son. But in any event, that seems to be the case. Now, this is a pretty short chapter. Let me see, how long is the next one? Chapter 25, Calling on the Aaron. This one's the other. Calling on the Aaron's pretty long, so we're going to have to save that till next week. So next week, Chapter 25, Calling on the Aaron. And that's a fun chapter. It's one of my favorite chapters in this book. I really like how it came out and the things that happened. It's a long one, though, so we will hit it next week. Until then, this is Ren Presents. I am your host, Ren. Peace out.